All right, what I want to talk about in this video is the layer opacity and layer fill settings. All right, now one of the things that I am really kind of keen on is learning keyboard shortcuts to help us in our productivity. And one of the keyboard shortcuts I want to talk about right now is the layer opacity keyboard shortcut for changing, all right, that opacity. Now, when you have any tool that is not a painting tool, and these guys are your painting tools down in this group here. If you have, as an example, the move tool or marquee or any of these guys down here or any of these guys, but mostly let's just stick with these guys up here. If you have a non-painting tool and you want to change the opacity of that layer, all you have to do is hit a number on your keyboard. As an example, right now I'm at 50%, 100% opacity. If I want to go to 50%, I hit the 5 key. And now you can see that the opacity is set to 50. If I want to go to 20% opacity, I hit the 2 key. And if I want to go to 88%, I just type 88 really fast. 88 fast. All right. If I want to go to 90%, there we go. If I want to go to 30%, there we go. And if I want to go back, so are you getting the idea here that if I want to be in increments of 10, such as 10, 20, or 30, or 40, or 50%, I hit the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 keys. If I want to have, say, 55%, I hit 5, 5 really fast. I get 55. If I want to have 63, then 6 and 3 really fast. And we're done. If I want to go back to 100% opacity, I hit the 0 key, and that sets me back to that. Now, the other thing here is our fill. All right, and we can do the same thing with our, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all that kind of stuff to change the density of our fill aspect of the layer, but we have to hold down the shift key. So now I'm holding down the shift key and I hit the number 5, and now you can see that I've actually reduced the fill value to 50%. If I hold the shift and go 78, it's at 78% and all that kind of stuff. Shift 0 puts it back to 100%. And at this point, just with regular elements on our layer here, such as type, but it could have been anything, all right, we end up with the same end result if I reduce the opacity or if I reduce the fill. All right, so let me show you something that possibly will help you get a better understanding of how this stuff kind of works. So if I were to add a layer style, all right, so we can revisit that by coming down Style, and I'm going to put a stroke on this, and by default it's outside 3, so I'm going to go inside, and I'm going to change that from black to white as an example, and click OK, and 3 is, let's go down to 2. So it's not quite. All right, so we're just going to leave that alone at this point. And then I'm going to add a drop shadow. And I'm just going to leave the drop shadow as a default, whatever they have in here. And I'm going to click OK. All right. Okay, so now I have something other than just the layer. I have some effects applied there. If I hit, all right, don't forget I still have the move tool selected. If I hit the number 5, I reduce the layer opacity. All right, and not only am I reducing the density of the black text, I'm also reducing the density of the shadow. If I go back and hit this to 0, you can see how the shadow is now back at 100% as well as this guy. All right, if I go down to 20%, I'm reducing everything down to 20%. Hit the 0 key, so I'm back at 100%. Now, if I hold down the shift key and if I hit the 5, you can see now how I've actually reduced the density of the layer elements, but not the density of the effects. So now if I was to hit the 1 key, now I have that sitting down, so my fill is at 10%, and my stroke, all right, is at the other. So I can actually reduce this down to there, and now I have this white text on a white background with a little bit of a drop shadow kind of thing going on. I can turn the stroke off because I don't need to have that on there. So now I'm turning the stroke on and off. You can see a subtle change possibly. But what I'm getting at is I might want to increase my drop shadow kind of to get it to go around a little bit. But the whole idea is that I actually maintain the layer opacity, which is your effects, but I reduce the fill so that it doesn't look like there's anything going on. I'm going to double click on this and I'm going to see if I can increase the distance. Increasing the distance, it doesn't really do it, but increasing the size does what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's it, that's it. So I've got that effect. There's other ways to create that effect, but I'm sure you've seen this on television ads and commercials and promos and trailers and all this kind of stuff, how they actually have something looking like, anyways, you get the whole idea. There we go. This is the difference between fill and, all right, the difference between fill and opacity. All right, I hope this explains enough stuff about layers and all the different components that we've worked with our layers. Believe me, there's more stuff that we can do, but what I've given you at this point in time is, you know, probably the best grounding of learning information that I could give you, and I hope that you have enjoyed the tutorials so far.